to the Sportcat Show.
That's right. I'm live on Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Radio X in Australia. And I think we have a new affiliate today. Yerg's was actually checking on that. So hopefully we will be there as well. We are going to have a great show today. I was tied up a few minutes. Ross and I working out some technical difficulties. Because if you remember last night, I hit the go live button and, well, it went nuts. It just went blank. It went away. So, but we were talking about witches and paranormal, so who knows? All right, our chat is lit up. Hello, Denise. Welcome. Chris, I see you in there somewhere. KG, welcome. I see you. I'm glad you're here. Everybody is ready and geared up for a great show. And, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and kick it off. And by the way, do you guys... am I a pompous ass with that entrance? I kind of like it because I do it on the radio show because you can't see me, but I kind of feel weird when I know I'm coming in and you can see me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. Well, there is no doubt. I am actually weird. So, all right. Let's bring up the screen here and see. Let me minimize this a little bit so that it's not overlapping. And let's see what today is. Obviously, it is May 1st, 2025. Goodness gracious, we are almost halfway through the year. Can you believe that? It's going too quick. All right. Let's see what today is. Check on the comments here. All right. So today is National Investigating Day. Well, let's investigate that and see what that is. Is that for PIs? It encourages people to dedicate at least one day a year to explore how they got invested and stay invested in a strong financial future. Okay, I'm good with that. All right. That's all I needed to know. It is May Day. And May Day has several different meanings depending on who you are. It's a traditional celebration of flowers in spring because, well, spring is here. The allergies are with us. So that's one meaning. And of course, it's also a Christianic holiday. So everybody celebrates it a little bit different. There's also, we may get into it here in a minute. Remember we'll talk about it in a minute. So the history, May Day is ancient roots dating back to Celtic traditions when the spring, I don't know what squeen is, spring equinox beckoned the coming of warmer days and called for celebrations filled with rituals that ensured fertile crops and livestock. You don't want your crocs to be fertile, so that would just be weird. It is School Principal Day. It is Law Day. Do not break the law day. Silver Star. Everybody should know what Silver Star is. There's plenty of Silver Star highways. National Day of Prayer. Our president is honoring that today. It's a national tradition. And it's Chocolate Parfait Day. National Mother Goose Day. Okay. When did we start giving these things? I mean, we had Potato Head and Bugs Bunny yesterday. Now we got Mother's Goose Day. Goodness. Yes, this is the one that I was talking about. I run this on my show, which is on the Thin Line Rock Station right about now. National Loyalty Day is, since 1955, every U.S. president has declared May 1st as a day to call on Americans to raise their flags, pray, and reflect on their heritage. The message of National Loyalty Day speaks of loyalty and freedom in equal measure, especially those who serve in the military, and I would actually argue first responders. And while the messages may stray, some in agreement on other topics, the central messages remain the same. So we want to be loyal to our country and remind everybody to pretty much remember that we are a free society here. So that's always a good thing. All right, let's see here. May 1st birthdays and events. Notable birthdays. Well, we're going to just cover people that we may know. Calamity Jane, American Frontwoman, and regular in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. And what is National Investing? Chris says National Investing Day was founded by Charles Schwab. Shocker. Anna Jarvis. She is the founder of Mother's Day. Let's see here. Who else do we have? Kate Smith. She is a singer, first considered the first lady of radio. She died in 1986. Jack Parr, a comedian. I did not know this. He was the second host of The Tonight Show. Yeah, interesting. Joseph Heller. He wrote Catch-22. Great book. Art Fleming, the first host of Jeopardy. I did not know that either. Let's see. Evelyn Boyd Granville, the second Black woman to receive a PhD in mathematics. Mabel Smith, the singer also known as Big Maybell. All right. Max Robinson, the first Black network anchor in the U.S. KG, wasn't he in Washington, D.C.? Paul Tutor, founder of the Orange County Choppers, he's still with us. Sally Mann, a photographer best known for her large black and white photos. Tim McGraw, we all know who he is. Well, we should all know who he is. He's a country and western singer. Let's see. 1704 today, the first newspaper advertisement is ran in the Boston Newsletter. The first orthopedic hospital was opened in 1863. American Equal Rights Association forms in 1866. 1867, Black voter registration begins in the South. 1873, the first postcard was issued. But if you had that one, you have something to hang on to. That's probably worth some money. Pro sports trader Bob Rogers is the first recognized one in 1883. Let's skip ahead here. The Pan American Exposition opened in Buffalo in 1901. The iconic Beverly Hills Hotel, wow, I did not realize it was 1912 today, so it was open today. The planet Pluto is officially named by an 11-year-old girl. I did not know that. 1930. Now, am I wrong? Is it because I've heard it go both ways? Is it a star? Is it a rock? Is it a planet? To me, it's always going to be a planet, but I hear now they're teaching that it's not a planet. How do you just take your planet status away? Is there like a card or something? So 1939, Batman makes his first appearance in Detective Comics number 27. And let me tell you, if you have that issue, well, you are a millionaire. General Mills introduced Cheerios, and is later renamed Cheerios. And in the United States, they added fake chemicals. No, I'm being silly. That was in 1941. 1943, the U.S. implements food rationing in an effort to support the war effort. Do you think we're ever going to see that again now with the tariffs? And well, we'll get into it. The use of radar is demonstrated for the first time to monitor commercial and private planes. Keywords there: commercial and private. That means in 1947, the military had been using it and had it down pat. 1956, Jonas Salk polio vaccine is released to the public. And 1963, James Whittaker became the first American to climb Mount Everest. All right. Let's see what else we can get into with what is today. And what is today? Oh, we talked about that is May Day, obviously. Agriculture and Labor Day. Beltane is actually May 1st is Beltane, the world with fire, and celebrate the. Okay, I gotta look at this. It said fire, so obviously I'm interested in it. Beltane, or May Day, is celebrated every year on May 1st. It is one of the 8 Sabbats and falls halfway between the spring equinox and the coming summer solstice. This day marks the coming summer and is associated with fertility. You're fertility. It represents the peak of spring and the beginning of summer, when Earth's energies are considered to be strongest. A lot of people are believing in the energy, so this festival is celebrated with bonfires, dancing, and performing fertility rituals. In ancient times, the Celtics used to light 2 bonfires because they believed the bonfires would purify people and increase their fertility. People would also pass cattle between the 2 fires, as they thought it would purify the cattle and ensure the herd's fertility. So, that's interesting, because last night we talked about it was the Night of Witches, and they had bonfires. And so I'm just beginning to think that our ancient relatives just like to burn shit. So, but some people do believe that smoke is a purifier too. So, all right, well, let's get back over here to what is today. And Chris says hospitalized for the ruptured and crippled was really its name. Oh, God, Chris. You're going to get me in trouble. Hey, Shay, welcome. Glad to see you here. Today is Blessing Day. It is also Kalan Mai Day. It's the lighting of the bonfires to fend off evil spirits and witches. Oh, and then Shay appeared. Uh, it's Couple Appreciation Day, CSS Reboot Day. All right, so I guess today, I don't know, rebooting. Frequent Flyer Day. Is that for ambulance patients? Just curious, asking for a friend. Global Love Day. Well, I love all of you all. And it's International Doodle Dog Day. You know, they have such funny fur. International Sunflower Gorilla Gardening Day. Am I saying that right? Gorilla Gardening Day. I love sunflowers, but I can never get one to stand upright once it gets past a foot or so. Keep Kids Alive, Drive 25. Well, I would argue that they need to just slow the hell down, period. It's Labor Day in the Philippines. Learn to Ride a Bike Day. Wow. Wow. That just popped to mind. I had a weird dream that my cousin and I, he was younger, but we were riding a bike. And for some reason, the bike fell apart and we were at St. Mary's, the old St. Mary's Hospital. Wow. That just suddenly came back to me from a dream last night. Not that any of you all care about that. All right. It's National Lee Day, LEI. Immersing, maybe that's luau. No, there's not. I don't know. Immersing yourself in Hawaiian culture. It's the Marshall Islands Constitutional Day. We talked about it being Mother Goose Day. National Black Barber Shop Appreciation Day. I have quite a funny story about that. I moved to Atlanta and my recruiter put me in let's just say I was the minority in the neighborhood. I had no problems. It was great. It was great. I think they actually thought I was nuts, which I kind of am. At any rate, as you know, especially when I was in the academy, off the ear, off the collar, high and tight. So I had to keep my hair, up pretty tight. So I went to the local strip mall. There was a Kroger's there, and I don't remember what the chain was, Great Clips or whatever. I went in and I signed up and I sat down, and the manager asked if she could see me. And I thought, what the hell have I done? She goes, I don't know how to tell you this. I'm like, tell me what? She's like, nobody here knows how to cut your hair. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, nobody knows how to cut. And I don't want to be rude, but a white person's hair. And I'm like, huh? It was the strangest thing. She said, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to send you somewhere else. And I'm like, okay. It was the strangest thing. And I had the same thing happen. I went to a different place with my son, and they told me, said, I'm sorry, we can't trim his hair. Okay, I'm out. Deuces, thanks. So yeah, I did not know that thing was a thing. National Day of Prayer Day, National Day of Reason Day. We could all use a lot of that. National Infertility, National Infertility. There we go. Can't say that. National Infertility Survival Day. National Loyalty Day. We discussed that. National Mantra Day promotes the use of mantras to ease the mind. It's Purebred Puppy Day, Dog Day. National Rotate Your Beer Day. Okay, now wait a minute. Why does your beer need rotating? You should be drinking it. Not in excess, of course. National New Homeowners Day. There's not many celebrating that here recently. Here we go. Here's one I like. Phone in Sick Day. It's National Phone in Sick Day. So today, let's honor the tradition and phone in sick. And it's Save the Rhino Day. We just covered a story in yesterday's show about a rhino attacking a boat and killing like 4 people. And we said it was Principals Day, Silver Star Banner Day, Worthy Wage Day, World Password Day. All right. Well, if you use your cat's name by some symbol, it's probably a bad thing. Don't use that. Don't use Sportcat. I'm telling you just right now, that's some good advice. Don't use Sportcat #1. Sportcat is number 1. Charlie D'Amelia's birthday, Gianna Bryant's birthday. I don't know who any of these people are. Katya Zamkaze. Yeah, she's a drag star. Is that the one who lost her leg? And Paika's birthday. A TikTok birthed a whole new wave of social media star, and she is one of them. Probably explains why I do not know her. So, all right, well, let's move on from this and see what other kind of trouble stuff I can get into by reporting. Come on, go away. And today in history. All right, well, let's see what they have over here. Uh, Chris said, I would have guessed scissors or clippers were a good option for white people hair, but I'm not an expert. I've got a good friend now that I should ask her. Cheyenne says no, Jiggy was the one that lost her leg. And that was a recent headline I saw. Yeah, I did not realize it was a thing. I actually felt bad. So I was like, I'm sorry. It was so weird. 1840, the first adhesive postage stamp is released. Hey, and it went on the first postcard for today. 1862, Calamity Jane is born. Cheyenne and I believe we had her cousin on one of our shows. It's an American frontierswoman and sharpshooter. Calamity Jane was born in Martha Jane Canary in Princeton, Missouri. It's unclear how many of the stories of her are actually factual that she later told about her life in the Wild West. However, it is known that she settled in Deadwood, South Dakota in 1876, where she met folk hero, Wild Bill Hickok, and may have had a relationship with him. Later in life, Calamity Jane appeared in Buffalo's Wild West show and cemented her place an enduring legend of the American frontier. And in this day, in 1931, the Empire State Building is officially dedicated by President Herbert Hoover. He dedicated to New York by symbolically pushing a button from the White House. Well, that at the time, that was technology to light up the structure, the tallest skyscraper in the world at the time. The building took just 1 year and 45 days to build. That's impressive. That really is. They still are trying to rebuild the bridge in Baltimore. And in 1931, they built the tallest building at the time, which stood 1,250 feet. Wow. That's crazy. It's the second tallest building in the world until the World Trade Center was constructed in 1972. I do not know who Evelyn McHale is, but apparently today she jumped to her death from the 86th floor of the Empire State Building. I'm really surprised they published that. Just 4 minutes after she died, a photography student named Robert Weil snapped a photo of her body, which had landed on the car below, crushing it. The image is now known as one of the most iconic photos in modern history. Wow. I mean, I really can't believe they published that, but okay. Chandra Levy disappeared in 2001, launching a media frenzy over the 24 intern years' fate in her relationship with an older married congressman. It was discovered about a year later in a local park. I sort of remember that story. And Aaron Ralston amputated his own arm. Ooh, that's right. He was the hiker that got his arm stuck between a rock and a boulder during a climbing accident in Utah. And he had been trapped for 5 days and had accepted his inevitable death when he suddenly had a vision of himself in the future with a partially amputated arm. He then broke his radius and ulna, which is his wrist and his 2 bones in his arm, before using a dull 2-inch knife and pliers from the multi-tool he carried to cut through his own skin and tendons, successfully amputating his arm and freeing himself. Wow, that's that fella there. Hey, Ken, welcome. We're glad you're here. There, that fella there. I'm going to go ahead and just give him a ceremonial message. He has.
No, for your information, I have full-size balls.
To cut your own arm off with a rusty, dull pocket knife? Yes, you do. So, goodness gracious. Cheyenne says, I mean, it would be accurate. Yes, all right. Calamity Jane is related to Cheyenne. Okay, that's what she's talking about. All right, today in history, we'll check in over here real quick before we get on with, I don't have many news stories today. Nothing too crazy in my world is going on. 1701, Acts of Union come into force, uniting England and Scotland to form the Kingdom of Great Britain. And let's see, the formal publication Species Planetarum by Carl Linnaeus, the formal start date of plant taxonomy, which is where they name the plants, adopted by the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. And there is, we talked about it, the very first stamp. Penny Black, the world's first adhesive stamp, is issued by the United Kingdom. In 1886, U.S. general strike 8-hour working day begins. U.S. general strike for 8 hours. Okay, so they were striking for that to happen. And we talked about the Empire State Building. In 1941, Citizen Kane, directed by Orson Welles, very famous himself, and also starring himself, was today. It opened in theaters in New York City. In 1786, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, not the one that we know, the younger generation, uh, he did Rock Me Amadeus. This one actually had The Marriage of Figaro. It premiered in Vienna with Mozart himself conducting it. 1883, Bob Rogers is acknowledged as the first American pro sports trainer. That's why does that seem to be such a thing? All right, we'll skip ahead here. We talked about Calamity Jane, talked about Jack Parr and Scott Carpenter, I think. Max Robinson. Yes, I believe KG, he was the reporter in Washington, D.C. Yes, I do need to stop trying to use them big words. And Ken, I will have to look that up. The man, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Tim McGraw, he is 58 today. Wow. Charlie Domino, she's 21. All right. Fun facts of the day. Well, famous weddings. Let's see. American women's rights activist Elizabeth Cady, 24, weds fellow abolitionist. Good Lord. Window, you're right. They were married. Henry Brewster never married until his death in 1887. American Union Army General William Touche Sherman weds Elaine Boyle Ewing in Washington, D.C. Famous divorces, because there's always got to be one. In 1978, actress and model Bianca Jagger, 32, files divorce from Rolling Stone Mick Jagger, who was 34 after 7 years of marriage on the grounds of adultery with model Jerry Hall. He was 34 then. He's what, like 90 something today? Um, Gordon Lightfoot died on this day in history. I remember him. I'm not familiar with any of these others. Strike a light. I've created flames. John Walker liked to experiment with chemicals in his pharmacy. To his surprise, when one mixture he scraped burst into flames, the match was born. Interesting. May 1st, 1859, the match was formed by a pharmacist. Famous popes. We're going to be talking a lot about popes, so I'm just skipping that topic for now because starting next week, in 6 days, they will be going into, was it Claimanture? They're going into where they pick the pope. All right, this story is coming to us from the AP. If you're a baseball fan, you saw that a man who fell 21 feet from the Clemente Wall at PNC Park during the Pirates game is in critical condition. Pittsburgh, a man who fell from the 21-foot high Clemente Wall in right field at PNC Park during Wednesday night's game between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs. Chris, did you have something to do with this? Remained in critical condition on Thursday morning. And Chris says it was horrific to see. Well, you're about to see it again. Right after Andrew McCutchen hit a 2-run double in the 7th inning to put the Pirates ahead 4-3, players began waving frantically for medical personnel and pointing to the man who had fallen to the warning track. The fan was tended to for approximately 5 members by both the Pirates and Cubs training staff, as well as PNC personnel before being removed from the field. The team issued a statement shortly after the game ended, saying the man was transported to the trauma center at Allegheny General Hospital. Pittsburgh Public Safety, which includes Pittsburgh Police and EMS, posted that the incident is being treated as accidental in nature. Pirates manager Derek Shelton, Cubs manager Craig Counsell both alerted the umpire crew of the situation immediately after the play. Even though it's 350 feet away or whatever it is, I mean, the fact of how it went down and then laying motionless while the play is going on. I mean, Craig saw it. I saw it. We both got out there, Shelton said. I think the umpires saw it because of the way it kicked. It's extremely unfortunate. That's an understatement. Players from both teams could be seen praying in McCutchen Field had it held a cross that hung from and McCutcheon held a cross that hung from his neck while the fan was taken off the field. The five-time All-Star said Thursday that the team was devastated and that they prayed together after the game. Asked to describe his viewpoints of the sequence, he declined, saying he's trying not to think about it, is more focused on the man's health. That's probably because it's giving him a little bit of trauma. We're just hoping for the best for him. I hope he pulls through this because he's the reason why we are here. He is the reason we play the game. People that show their support so we can come do something we love, partly because of him and because of the fans. So I just pray that he's all right. The game was paused for several minutes while the man was tended to, but there was no official stoppage in play. I didn't see anything happen, but I saw Council's face when he came out of the field, and I could tell that it was a very scary moment, Cubs shortstop Dansby Swanson said. All we could do is just pray for a good, strong recovery for him and his family. I have never been part of something like that before, and I hope that I'm never part of something like that again. It's a humble reminder of the gratitude we should all have to play this game. Folks obviously come out to support us, and they are a big reason why we are able to do what we do, so it's obviously tough. At a time like that, you want the fans to know you love them. Fans have died from steep falls at baseball stadiums in the past. In 2015, Atlanta Braves season ticket holder Gregory K. Murray flipped over guardrails from the upper deck at Turner Field. That was 4 years after Shannon Stone, a firefighter attending the game with a 6-year-old son, fell about 20 feet after reaching out for a foul ball tossed into the stands at a Texas Rangers former stadium. Both incidents prompted scrutiny over the height of the guardrail at stadiums. The Rangers have raised theirs, while the Braves settled a lawsuit with Murray's family. Spectator at a 2022 NFL game at Pittsburgh Ascure Stadium died following a fall from an escalator. And Chris says you will see a massive initiative across sports to raise heights now. Well, remember that's also one of the things that they come out with the it's not fence, netting, I guess. What is Glen? Let's hear Glen say Amadeus Wolfgang Mozart. I said it. It was horrific to see Chris. He looked extremely shaken up. You might want to look away for a minute because I'm going to show the video here real quick and point out that it was an accident and that it occurred so quickly that nobody realized. You could see the man falling there, and nobody really realized what happened. It was very crazy to see. So we hope that he is okay, and we hope and pray for his continued improvement. So let me get this off screen now. There, you've seen it. That was enough. All right. So I wanted to show it so everybody knows you have to be constantly aware of your surroundings. I'm not saying that he wasn't. It was an unfortunate, horrible accident, but that's how accidents occurs. That one moment where we are distracted. So everybody, please try and remain vigilant and aware. All right, this story comes to us from Zero Hedge, and it kind of reminded me of the Star Wars. I don't remember what they were called, but it's a super bike for the sky, and it emerges out of stealth mode. A super bike for the sky has officially emerged from stealth mode, drawing striking parallels to the iconic speeder bikes from the 1980s sci-fi classic Star Wars, Episode 4-6, Return of the Jedi. Poland-based startup Volnot unveiled a single-seater, jet-powered hover bike that clocks in at speeds of 124 miles per hour. Speeders, yes, speeders. So my question is, did the military already know about this? The future single-occupant vehicle is a realization of a bold concept often portrayed in sci-fi movies. This is where the inspiration came from many years ago, and time became the obsession with its creator. The company wrote in an emailed response. Volnut noted that the airbike's extremely compact size and no spinning propellers, it can travel through most confined areas with ease. The startup dripped a lesser video of its release on Friday. Get ready to unveil the world's first real speeder bike, air bike, transforming science fiction into reality. Stay tuned for the official launch video soon. Now, here's my thing: is the military going to come out and say that this didn't that this we know about these? Are we're taking control of these. Stay tuned for the official launch video soon. Meet the air bike, your personal hover bike straight from the future. The Volnut air bike flying motorbike is a breakthrough in personal air mobility. I should probably mute that. I'll mute that for science or for copyright reasons. And it's the wow, that's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. And at speeds of 124 miles an hour, holy crap. That's pretty. Let's see some side pictures of it. Oh, that's from a GoPro of it. That's pretty cool. I got to say I would probably do that even at my age. So yeah, how long is it before our military has this? We have soldiers on these. We have like the fighting armor 101st will come out with some of these. The 101st Airborne Division, they will launch out of planes or something. This is crazy. This is what we as kids all talked about. Everybody thought that it was going to be here. Well, I guess it's here and we just didn't know it. Wonder how far it can go. Wow. Yeah. Wendell, I don't know if it hold me up or not with my massive girth. You know, I'm like 500 pounds, so it may not hold me up, but yeah, well, that brings up a valid point for a military purpose. How much armor could they have on while wearing it? Wow. KG says, interesting fact that the ABC local news showed him hitting the ground while the ABC national blurred the final 10. Well, it is crazy. So, and I am impressed by this. If this technology is available to us now, imagine what's next to come. I mean, that is crazy. So could they bust you for running a stoplight with this? I mean, if you're up above the height of a tractor trailer, could they? I don't know. Ken says in the movie The Island, they were called Black Wasp. So it does look like fun. That could be taken to new heights. And if you can go at treetop level looking for Bigfoot. And well, that would be a use for it that a lot of people could see. It looks like it makes a lot of noise though. So the jet is actually pushing you up. So in order to fly, you have to have several things. You have to have thrust, you have to have lift and force. So the thrust is obviously the jet engine, which is giving it the lift. And I assume it's got some kind of ailerons that are moving the air to the rear. So that does it have brake lights? Does it really have brake? Tell me it has turn signals. Would also, that is so cool. Yeah, I would like to try one just to say I did. Of course, I'm old, I'd probably break a hip, but if it could get, as Wendell says, my massive girth up. So I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot. We'll see if we can get one of those in the future. Well, the future is now if you want one of those. All right. Well, speaking of the military, the Pentagon is warning it's not prepared for a homeland drone attack. Well, that's not good news. NORAD Commander General Gilead has signed a new standard operating procedure for base commanders to deal with drones, citing the hundreds of drones that flew around military sites last year. Remember, that got awful quiet. Defense officials warn that the Pentagon is still unprepared to defend its installations but say a new standard operating procedure and expanded authorities could help. Mass drone incursion over Joint Base Langley Eustis in December of 2023 reminded us that the homeland is no longer a sanctuary, and should our adversaries choose to deploy drones for surveillance or even attack, we would not be prepared to adequately defend our homeland and are only marginally capable to defend our military installations. Rear Admiral Paul Bederko, vice director of operations for Joint Staff, said Tuesday during a House Oversight Committee on Military and Foreign Affairs. The mysterious drones that swarmed over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia in 2023 raised questions about when commanders can legally take down drones and how the military should coordinate with various agencies that oversee U.S. airspace. In addition to Langley, Spederco cited drones incursions at Plant 42 in California, Pickaninny Arsenal and Naval Weapons Station in Earle, New Jersey. The Pentagon reported 350 drones detected last year at over 100 different military installations, a number that continues to rise. This is why they're so quiet about it. They said it was us. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was those new bikes. Officials have been hesitant to confirm who is behind these flights, but some lawmakers have pointed to work of foreign adversaries like China or Russia, while some defense officials have pointed to local hobbyists. Representative William Timmons from South Carolina, the chairman of the subcommittee, called the drone incursion a coordinated effort by our adversaries to collect valuable intelligence and surveillance from our most sensitive military equipment. While Spadero stopped short of naming specific instances, the adversarial spying, he agreed that U.S. adversaries have demonstrated that they will use this type of activity for unauthorized surveillance for espionage. Part of the Pentagon's struggle to respond to these incidents lies in challenges both with our ability to implement a relatively untested interagency coordination process. Mark him, acting Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Security and Hemispheric Affairs, said during the hearing. And in an effort to address some of the confusion, he said that General Gregory Gilliard, head of the North American Aerospace Defense Command and U.S. North Command, published a standard operating procedure last month, essentially a guide for base commanders to request assistance from U.S. Northcom when there's a drone incursion. The DoD last year announced that Northcom will serve as the synchronizer, integrator, and our coordinator of counter drone efforts. The Pentagon is also hoping Congress will approve legislative proposals to revise counter UAS authorities under a new law, Section 130I India, which governs current authorities for protection of certain facilities and assets from unmanned aircraft. The new legislation would expand the authorities under 130I to cover all military installations. As the law currently stands, only some bases are, quote, covered installations, have permissions to defend themselves against drones, in addition to covering all DoD installations. The new legislation will facilitate data sharing with interagency partners to help improve coordination. Interesting. Maybe we can get some of those jet-powered speeders and put them at each installation, and that could be like a new division of, would it be Space Force, Air Force, probably the Marines. And a drone comes in, two guys hop on those speeders, take off, and guns ablazing. So, Chris says maybe we can give the Pentagon another $1 trillion, and they would be more prepared. Well, no, they'll just lose it and then find it later. True story. So, all right. Next story we're going to talk about, and we'll cover this again later, is a major U.S. city woke up today, rocked by an earthquake. It was felt by thousands. In an area that doesn't get earthquakes, a 3.9 magnitude earthquake hit just outside Utah's capital city Thursday morning, says the USGS, detected a tremor at 6:11 Eastern Time, with the epicenter located in Independence, about 43 miles southeast of Salt Lake City. More than 2,200 people within a 45-mile radius reported feeling the shaking. The epicenter sits atop the Wash Fault, which is one of the most active and studied fault systems in the U.S. The Wash Fault is capable of producing a magnitude 7.5. Locals have shared their experience on social media, many saying their homes shook for a few seconds during the quake. Dr. Darby Bailey from Draper said she felt the initial earthquake and several other small rocking aftershocks. No injuries or damages have been reported. So it was centered just to the southeast of Salt Lake City, and apparently it was felt for a large radius. They said that they reported feeling weak to light shaking from Thursday's earthquake. It struck at a depth of roughly 7 miles, it's 7 miles deep. Tremors were also felt in Drapier, Provo, Lee, and West Jordan. The quake occurred along the Wash Fault, a 220-mile long fault system stretching from southern Idaho to northern Utah. Known formally as the Wash Fault Zone, the WFZ, the system consists of a series of fault segments rather than a single continuous break. A report from Earthquake Engineering Research Institute outlines a worst case scenario. Wendell, you'll like this. A magnitude 7.0 earthquake along Salt Lake City segment of the fault. The entire Salt Lake Valley and surrounding area will experience a strong to severe shaking as a result of a Salt City segment rupture, they shared. The tremor would trigger landslides, rock avalanches, and cause the ground to sink. Salt Lake is home to more than 2 million people. An estimated 8,400 households will be displaced, and 52,700 individuals will be seeking shelters, researchers said. So there you go, Wendell. That's worst case scenario. Depending on the time of day, there will be an estimated of 2,000 to 2,500 deaths, an estimated to 7,400 to 9,300 people will be injured and need hospital care. The number of available hospital beds will be reduced from 4,790 to 3,200. The report estimated that there would be a total economic loss of more than $33 billion with a B dollars. A 5.7 earthquake rocked Salt Lake City in 2020, knocking out power to tens of thousands of homes, shutting down the city's airport, and bringing the light rail system to a halt. The epicenter was just southwest of Salt Lake City, Utah, and an estimated 2.76 million residents felt the quake, USGS reported. Residents reported the Okay, let me stop here because I lost my place. The epicenter was just southwest of Salt Lake City. An estimated 2.76 million residents likely felt the quake, according to USGS. Residents reported feeling shaking across a 100-mile area, with the heaviest impact in Salt Lake County, officials said. People reported feeling the quake in the neighboring states of Colorado, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada. There were no reports of injury, but the tremors knocked local power to nearly 55,000 homes and businesses, said the utility Rocky Mountain Power. Property damage was reported at rescue mission of Salt Lake City, where a wall collapsed, sparking an evacuation, according to KTVX. The USGS said the earthquake hit at 7:09 a.m. and was about 2.5 miles north of Magna, a township in Salt Lake County, just located 10 miles away from Salt Lake City at a depth of 6 miles. At least six aftershocks were recorded. The immediate aftermath from the main quake and more were expected throughout the day. The quake damaged the Angel Moroni statue atop Salt Lake City Temple, the Mormons' church's largest, knocking a trumpet from the angel's hand. A church spokesperson also said that some of the temple's smaller spire stones were displaced, according to the Desert News. In Herriman, just south of the capital city, bricks from the facade of the Silvercrest Elementary School fell in front of the main entrance. Cracks appeared in bricks of the facade of a Salt Lake City bank building, and rubble appeared on sidewalks in front of an unoccupied building under construction, according to social media posts. Wow, so that was a few years ago. So they're saying that the next big one could be coming to Salt Lake City. So, all right, what do we got in the chat here? Denise says a man was raped today. A man was raped today in a train in New York City. Okay, we'll try and find out about that. And yeah, nobody is safe. You're right, Chris. You were right. I saw before coming on there was a barricade somewhere in New York City, but I don't remember where. We'll just kind of hit over this real quick because it's going to become headline. I don't know if it's just them warning us or if something really is going to happen, but global leaders are telling everybody to prepare for another pandemic, which will be the H5N1 avian flu. And so, uh, check out the signs and symptoms and what you can do to prevent yourself. Pink eye, fever, fatigue, cough, muscle aches, sore throat, nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, stuffy or runny nose, and dyspnea, shortness of breath, are some of the big ones. But typically, that's most any of them. We'll cover this one real quick. Waterville, which is in, where was this? This is in Detroit. No, this is in Maine. A teacher called for the Secret Service, and I'm reporting this from the Maine Wire. I want to make that clear. I am reporting this from the Maine Wire. A Waterville teacher calls on the Secret Service to assassinate Trump. She said she would do it herself if she could. And there's a picture of this young lady, an English school teacher at Waterville Senior High, who wanted to do this. And you can go read this article. It's on the Maine Wire. I'm pretty sure she's going to get a visit from some men in black, as she should. All right. SpaceX Texas hub may soon become the official city named Starbase. So they're looking to rename a city where the SpaceX hub is. That's interesting news. And then this one just broke as I was coming on. With AI on the rise, Texas House passes bill requiring more transparency in political ads. Of course, this is in Texas. And a lot of people are saying that this will get you arrested for making memes. I don't know. It seems a bit far fetched, and they're saying it's an invasion of our, or not an invasion, but it's a violation of our constitutional rights. But I think that it's all a good idea to put AI on anything, really. If you're going to have an AI thing, you should report it. You should say this came from AI. It's smarter than us, right? All right, so everybody, top of the hour, we are live on Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Radio X in Australia, Right Talk Radio, and hopefully a new station. So welcome. It's top of the hour. What we do here is we are the anti-prepper you're going to die channel. We tell you why you're going to live another day. Yes, Daddy's in charge. Sportcat is in charge. We go over some of the president's daily briefing, and we also talk about things that are going on in the world. So please hit the, thank you, Denise. I'm looking at the screen. Please hit the like button. That thumbs up really helps it get spread out over YouTube. And I encourage you, if you're listening on any of those formats, to come over to the Paranormal, 3 different words, guys with a Z, Paranormal guys, and subscribe. We are so close. We are just a little bit away from being monetized, and I deeply need your help. All right, so this is the FEMA National Watch Center's daily operation briefing, the same one the president gets, except we don't get the secret squirrel stuff, which I want so badly. So if you get secret squirrel stuff and you want to, I promise I will not tell anyone except my 2 viewers. Wendell, Denise, Chris, and KG. 4 viewers, sorry. I will only tell them. I'm being silly. Today is Thursday, May 1st, and this was created at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And the National Current Operations Monitoring, well, they say there's no new significant incidents and there's no new declarations, but we're monitoring a severe weather. They're calling it a slight risk. I would say it's a little bit more than that. Southern Plains to Great Lakes, and flooding, which could be moderate to major, especially in Texas. Texas has been getting hammered, as well as Oklahoma. Southern Plains and flash flooding is being considerable in Puerto Rico. We haven't talked about them in weather. We often forget about them. So from the National Weather Service and their portion of the briefing, they say that northeast Texas and, well, part of the Panhandle, but pretty much all of Oklahoma can expect some severe thunderstorm extending to almost all of Louisiana and southern Arkansas. That will move to northwest Georgia and pretty much central Alabama later this afternoon, and it could cause a possible tornado. The other chances are pretty much from central Tennessee, Nashville, straight up, well, no, not straight up, to the northeast, where they're calling for up all the way up into Pennsylvania, the chance for severe thunderstorms. Now, yesterday there was a lot of tornadic activity reported, but the Weather Service has said that it was more of a wind event because there were not enough that reached the threshold for a EF1, which I think is 75-mile-an-hour winds. A few of them had winds as high as 110, but not all of them reached that level. So strap your trampolines down. The National Weather Service is trying to say that it wasn't as bad as we think. But as of May 1st, we're also entering into severe thunderstorm season. So here we are. Welcome. And the next 2 weeks are going to be wild, folks. So Friday, we can anticipate that same section of Texas, maybe even a little bit to the further west and deeper south, extending all the way over to Louisiana and maybe northwest Alabama, maybe Tennessee, a little bit Arkansas can expect some severe thunderstorms, but they say they're not tomorrow. The energy will not be there. That high pressure coming down from Canada is finally going to get that bow that it's been trying so hard for on the Saturday, and it's expected that anywhere east of the Mississippi, all the way up even to the northeast and to the deep south, the Route 1 corridor from Key West to Maine could expect some showers, while over on the other side, the west side of the Mississippi, from Texas all the way over to California and then up the coast, you could anticipate some rain, maybe spotty here and there. And we still have that dirty S word for the Yankee dander in the higher elevations of Washington, Oregon, and Colorado. My friend in Colorado sent me pictures of white fluffy rain, as she called it. It snowed in Colorado yesterday, but it didn't last. This is the severe weather outlook has been a little disputed today, depending on who's your source, but we can anticipate northeast Texas, most of Louisiana, in part of Arkansas to get some significant weather. Later in the day, that is going to shift up into Kentucky when that bow really finally gets down further and up into the upstate New York, West Virginia, Pennsylvania area. So keep your eyes open on that. Friday, the intensity isn't going to be quite as strong as it's still pushing to the northeast, but Texas will once again stand that slight risk. And of course, Saturday, our day off, pretty much east of the Mississippi, you can expect some scattered showers. And as that bow makes its effect from pretty much deep Texas up to Oregon, actually up to Washington, you can expect some spotty showers. But the big thing is the temperatures are going to drop significantly. Some places, maybe even as much as 20 degrees. We see the precipitation and excessive rainfall that they're calling for today is still Texas, pretty much through the deep south, Alabama, Georgia, into the Carolinas, central Tennessee, up West Virginia, southwest Virginia, into Pennsylvania, and portion of Maryland. Not really the 95 corridor. Can expect some rainfall today, but not as heavy as it was yesterday. And along the 95 corridor, the wind shouldn't be as strong as they were yesterday. Still, strap down your trampolines. Just put your strap on, get it out there. So Thursday, we see up in the top right section there what they're anticipating. Pretty much as we talked about today, it's that bow is creating the energy to be disrupted, and it'll go to the northeast and to the southwest. Friday, it'll be less significant, but Texas and Louisiana will be under gun. Saturday, the only real chance of anything is some heavy precipitation along the Appalachia, Blue Ridge Valley area and out on the west coast. Chris says listen to these people. Well, Shay, Chris, you have been slacking. Potential flooding in Puerto Rico. I have not followed this. We haven't really followed the weather in Puerto Rico, but there is a flood watch in Puerto Rico, and it appears that there's going to be some heavy rain and significant thunderstorms. Ravine flooding, riverine flooding. Well, this is pretty much northwest, well, let's just say pretty much half of Texas, and it's impacting parts as far up into Oklahoma with the flooding, and it's only going to increase over the next couple days. And in 2 weeks, if I get a chance to show you the graphic, you're just going to really freak out how there's two fronts over the continent at the same time creating chaos if their forecast goes to plan. So the hazardous outlook today, pretty much Oklahoma, you're under the gun. Later today, up into the Northeast, probably not as severe. We see that FEMA is currently operating in Oregon, Virginia, North Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. And I believe they are now going to be in Arkansas as well. So you can see, if you want to go see all of the information off this report, you can go to FEMA.gov and look up the operational daily brief. All right, so there is that. The next thing we always talk about is, well, the commander-in-chief, he is the one that gets these secret squirrel things and makes these secret squirrels decisions. So what is he doing? Well, the press is whining again because they had to show up at 8 a.m. to be there for an 8:30 a.m. press briefing by the White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, whatever. The deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, on restoring common sense. Remember we played that video yesterday? Why do we have to have a press conference about restoring common sense? At any rate, at 11 a.m., the president participated in a national day of prayer. That was in the Rose Garden, and only pre-credentialed press was allowed. At noon, the president receives his intelligence briefing. Well, what we just got, he got at noon. 2 o'clock, the president participates in a swearing-in ceremony for the ambassador of the Italian Republic. At 3:55, it means the president's on the move. The out-of-town press pool had better be in place. At 5 o'clock, the president is departing the White House en route to Joint Base Andrews. And from Joint Base Andrews, he's going to take off. Goodness, I'm making noise. And he's going to Tuscaloosa. He's going to be out near you, Wendell. And he is going to be giving a speech. He arrives at the Coleman Coliseum at the University of Alabama, where he's going to deliver, I believe it's the commencement speech and remarks at 8 p.m. tonight. 8:55. They're being generous there. 8:55. He's going to give a 55-minute speech. Yeah, I don't know. It'll probably be a little longer. He's going to depart 9:05. He's supposed to be back in Tuscaloosa to depart at 9:15 en route to Palm Beach International Airport. And at Palm Beach International Airport, he will be whisked away to Mar-a-Lago, where at 11:15 tonight, they will put a lid on it. The president will be secured. So he has a long day ahead of him, and the media was complaining because they had to be there at 8 a.m., according to my source. Shocker. Got to be there on time to do your job, right? All right, this is new. I just found this recently, and this is our DEFCON level. I guess we should go over what the DEFCON level is. It's the level of threat that the country currently faces, and we are currently at a DEFCON level of 3. And well, let's go into it. The current DEFCON operations open source intelligence estimates that now remember, we don't technically know what the DEFCON is. The government doesn't tell us because they don't want to scare us. Chris says, when somebody came up with the idea of a press conference on common sense, they should have been immediately dismissed. I so want to steal that video from Open Talk yesterday and use that as my opening. I may actually email them and say, can I please use this for a while? It was funny. And it would probably aggravate a lot of people, but it was just funny in general. So, all right. So we don't know the actual technical DEFCON level. That's a military secret, a government secret, but we can kind of ascertain from things what it is. We don't believe that it warrants, according to this source, they do not believe it warrants a DEFCON level 2 because Vladimir Putin has ordered nuclear deterrent forces on alert. So we're on the cusp. And if it changes, they will let you know. You can go to this site and look at it. It's a private open source. I'm not reporting anything classified or top secret or nothing like that. If you give me that information, I will only tell my 4 friends on YouTube. So I promise. If it changes at any time, it will be reflected in the alert status with regional newspapers or news pages, news sources, basically. So the reason for the level of change is because most likely to be targeted by terrorist attack based on research and data. And I'm just reading this for any military or spy operation that wants to watch my show. I'm just merely reading this from open source that New York City, Washington, D.C. due their symbolic appearance and history of prior attacks. Indio, California, during the Stagecoach Festival, which was April 25th to April 27th, that has passed due to the potential for high casualty. Major metropolitan areas such as Los Angeles, no specific threats have been identified at this time. The list will be updated periodically as potential threats are assessed. The US or the UK has issued a travel warning to the US stating that terrorists are, quote, very likely to carry out attacks, including mass shootings. Now, remember, that is from the United Kingdom telling their people that there's a travel warning to the United States. Keep that headline in mind. Alerted additional area globally at risk. Israel, Houthi forces in Yemen continue to launch ballistic missiles towards the country. Ukraine, due to the ongoing conflict with Russia, and experienced 68% of terrorism deaths. And it's a hotspot for terrorist activity. Nigeria saw a 34% rise. Afghanistan is currently under Taliban governments. We, under a previous administration, handed them the keys. Somalia, al-Shabaab remains active, but it says deaths have dropped 43%. Wow, that was nice. Myanmar, terrorism has surged after the 2021 coup. In Niger, ISIS affiliates are highly active. We could possibly get some kind of retaliation because if I had to guess, we're going to make the Houthis pay for our jet that we lost overboard with the tractor. The top 10 countries most likely to suffer a military attack currently: Ukraine, Israel, Lebanon, Yemen, Iran, North Korea, South Korea, Taiwan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and other Middle Eastern countries from the Houthis. All right, so upgraded specifically today, this is what I wanted to get to, but I had to kind of get you there. The current geopolitical climate: the United States continues to carry out 24/7 strikes on Houthi locations in Yemen. In the current political climate, we recognize that our commitment to neutral and factual reporting often draws criticism from differing viewpoints and across the political spectrum. We understand that not everyone will agree with our content, but our primary goal remains accuracy. If you have any concerns about something we've reported, we encourage you to share your feedback rather than disengaging. Your input helps us dig deeper. And I'm reading this from the open source DEFCON reporting. Below are recent alerts that are periodically updated. And one came out just as we were about to go on air today. Essential alerts to Intelligence Office: clear and concise view of global dynamics, free of political sensation. And you can go to the site and subscribe to get every alert right to your mailbox. But the China on April 30th, China naval operations around Taiwan, Japan, joint Balikatan 25 regional exercises, deploying forces to respond to Chinese activities around islands exacts a considerable toll on Taiwan's resources and finances, creating a cumulative burden. All right, so this is the one that flagged out right as we were going live. It came out late overnight, but they finally hit the event. Widespread outages. Visa is reporting 571 incidents in the last 24 hours at a peak at 5 a.m., primarily affecting debit cards. So basically what they're saying is that your Visa or your debit card may not work. Multiple services worldwide including Visa, YouTube, and PayPal, are experiencing significant outages as of May 1st. 571 the last 24 hours at Visa, and with a peak at 5 a.m., primarily affecting their debit cards. Other services, AT&T, Netflix, have been showing disruptions, including potential large-scale issuing impacting digital and financial infrastructure. So this was coming out right as we came on. So um, obviously they released a little late because they don't want to scare everybody, but your Visa and debit card may not work. So there you go. All right, that is it. I will keep an eye on this, but you can go to, let me give you the page, defconlevel.com, and you can sign up and get alerts, and you can read all about them. I actually encourage you to, because we're going to kind of keep up with this website and see how accurate their reporting is. But they said a couple key things there, so keep an eye on that. All right, let's get back into weather, something a little less doomy and gloomy. Chris says, War Games taught me all about DEFCON levels. yeah, it did. Shall we play a game? We're at that now. We have flying motorcycles. That's so cool. All right, so I'll leave that alone for a minute. So look here at this map. We can see they've actually changed a little bit from the one that was reported earlier. That bow is pushing a little bit further down into Mississippi, but it's going to cause Oklahoma just to be battered today. I will not be surprised if when we pull up the lightning map, it is just not lit up in Oklahoma. Down from just north of the coastline of Texas, you can see that there's some severe storm activity. Now they're predicting that line is going to continue straight across all of Mississippi and up central Tennessee, probably at the base of the Appalachian Mountains, if I have to guess. Northwest Alabama, and probably later today when the bow presses onward, northwest Georgia, and then it'll move over towards the Carolinas. But can expect significant thunderstorms, possible tornadic activity. This little high spinning out here has been trying hard to keep this, but the one down here has kind of give way and moved further to the northeast. So it's going to allow this cold front from Canada to come down and create the energy. Tomorrow, as we see that Texas, you're still under the gun. I hate to report that to you. Mississippi and Louisiana, central Tennessee as well, under the gun for some severe weather. Flash floodings, heavy rains, pretty much from northeast Oklahoma down through Texas to the Panhandle, including Louisiana. You can expect some considerable rainfall. Day 3, it lightens up a little bit. That front still not completely made its all the way through, but the high has disappeared off the coasts and down in the Gulf of America. So that only a little low right there that's not as active is going to keep across from the Mississippi east up and even up the Route 1 corridor from Key West to Maine, spotty showers, and then back over. You can expect from the southern border over and up the coast, maybe even some mixed precipitation, higher elevations in Washington, Oregon, and Colorado. My friend will keep me updated, sending me pictures, I'm sure. So keep an eye on that. That's the next 3 days. And there's also a potential, they were saying, for overnight activity. So keep your weather radios on, be weather aware, and know what's going on. We're not quite to hurricane season yet, but there is no activity currently in the Pacific or the Atlantic, which is always good news. We'll keep an eye on that. That reminds me, I want to bring up a map. Let's see if I can find it here. This may take me a second, but I want to bring up a map. I'm not sure if it'll show or not on the next screen, but I want to bring this up because it may show where they're predicting. Well, let me go to downloads. Come on, wake up, computer. It may show where, yes, where the most significant possibilities for tornadic activity. We'll look at this site in a minute, but as we can see, central Texas, northeast, the east side of Oklahoma, and then looking down south, we can see that most of the northern Louisiana and lower Alabama could have some potential. Later in the day, this area up in Pennsylvania may get some activity. and even up north of Washington, D.C., northwest of Washington, D.C., uh, could, and this could also occur overnight. So if you're in that region of West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, those little tri-states there, have a weather radio on and be prepared at all times, because that may occur more so at night, as well as the ones in Alabama towards more central Alabama. So have your weather radio on. This one, this is kind of a weird map. This is next week. If the models keep forecast, we will have dual omega storms. I know it's hard to make out, but this is the East Coast over here on the right, all the way down to Florida. East of the Mississippi, there will be one front spinning in circulation. West of the Mississippi, there's a larger one. To sound like a little child, it almost looks like boobies with a smiley face in the middle, upside down smiley face. But to a serious note, next week could have some serious winds and storms because this is going to roll in so fast back to back with no real wedge in between them. So we'll keep an eye on that, but you may see that next week. That's what they're forecasting for. All right, so this is a new screen or a new site for us, and this shows us, thank you, this shows us what I was talking about today, the torcon or tornado levels, the areas that could possibly be impacted, the wind, and as I stated earlier, the winds up along Pennsylvania, West Virginia, that area up into maybe even a little bit of New York City, not New York City, but New York State tonight could anticipate some serious winds. But this whole front that goes pretty much from the Gulf of America down in Louisiana up to the Ohio Valley, almost the New York region of possible high winds. So strap those trampolines down. And that little front still trying to be persistent. Oklahoma, you're not going to get a break for the next 48 hours. I hate to tell you. And then we see that's going to continue tomorrow with the energy picking up again over Oklahoma and Texas. And, well, they're saying the tornado outwatch for tomorrow will be significantly less. Central Tennessee up through the Ohio Valley, up into with the northwest side of West Virginia up into Pennsylvania over to the Great Lake. That area will be the most likely for tornadic activity, as well as Oklahoma again. So, but the winds are what's really going to be changing as this cold front comes down. So you can see the next day with the wind outlook, pretty intense winds, pretty much all of Oklahoma down to the Gulf of America, back up through Alabama into part of the deep south, central Tennessee along the west side of the Appalachia over towards Mississippi. I actually sound like I know what I'm talking about, don't I? That's kind of scary. So let's get on with sillier topics. All right, let's look at current conditions for our friends down under. Good morning to you and welcome if you're listening. Yeah, Oklahoma is a mess. And Texas isn't far behind. Oklahoma is just a hot mess right now, Denise. But hopefully they'll get it's not going to get a break for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be kind of rough for them. All right, so we're looking at Australia. Currently, the radar is really only showing off of the coast of Brisbane down to Sydney, that Gold Coast region. Some spotty showers, maybe some up towards in Queensland, but very few are having any precipitation at all, and down to the southwest of Perth. And they're not really calling for a great deal of precipitation except for off of the Gold Coast there. And it appears most of that will be offshore. So looks like a good clear day for Australia, and it'll be slightly windy today. So hopefully it will be a nice, cool, calm day for our friends down south. Currently, we're in degrees here because I am set up that way. We have current temperature 76 in Broome, 64 Perth, 76 Darwin. In Alice Springs, it's 52. Adelaide, 48. Melbourne, you're the coolest right now at 47. 37 in Canberra. Sydney, 59. Brisbane, 58. And Rockhampton 64. It warming up a little bit as you get up towards Cairns. But remember, folks that are listening, this is still just not quite daylight yet. If you look there, it's almost getting close to daylight. So remember that it is Thursday morning for them. When I say it's Friday morning for them, so it's not quite daylight. So it is not as warm. We'll hop over to the United States and check out some current temperatures. 78 Atlanta, Knoxville. Hey, Knoxville finally shows up on the map. Maybe it's because I've talked it into existence. 77 Washington, D.C., 83, probably humid as heck. 79 Philly, get up to Burlington, 62. They're warm over there. Over on the East Coast, they can look at temperatures in the 50s, maybe V60s. Down New York City, 68 degrees currently. And let's see, Tallahassee, 83. Tampa, once again, you're one of the warmer areas, 85 degrees. It's a good day to be on the jet ski with Yergs. 85 in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, 81. And over in Texas, we can see that Houston is 82, and towards the center of the center of the state, San Angelino, 88. Wow. 85 in Phoenix. Over on the East Coast, LA, you're 67. Medford, Oregon, Grants Pass, 71 degrees. Klamath Falls, let's report them in at 64. And let's just go ahead and get a little nostalgia out. Eugene, 66. And let's see, let's go up here and see if I can find my other favorite city, Yakima, 69. Over, if you go down onto the northern coast in Crescent City, it's 52. In Seattle, we're reporting 60. So that cold front is not quite making its way, but it's trying. And we look over towards the Midwest, 67 in Chicago, Fort Wayne, 72, Indianapolis, 70, Springfield, 67, St. Louis, 72, Kansas City, 70. I'm not sure if I said that. So Omaha, 61. In Oklahoma, where they're getting the most storms right now, Tulsa, 74, Oklahoma City, 75. So it doesn't surprise anybody that the actual temperatures where the most storms are is higher. All right, so let's look at the humidity. We haven't looked at it in a while. No, it's only 51% in Washington, where it's 57 in Atlanta. Knoxville is 63. It's a sticky day, and it's more sticky up towards Chicago at 77% humidity right now, and Little Rock is 57. So there's not really the dry wedge is off the coast right now. So that humidity is going to be spiraling across as this cold front comes through. So, all right, there you go. Let's jump to the next screen. How are we doing on time? 2:30. We're doing pretty good. All right, so this is courtesy of GEMA, Georgia Emergency Management Agency. It's live radar with current warnings that are up. The blue dots are earthquakes. We'll cover those in a minute. And as Denise said in Oklahoma, well, you're just a mess over there. It looks like the center line of the storms, though, is really lifted. And to the northeast up here in Michigan, Canada, are where the worst part of the storms are. And of course, we can't forget about over here, over the Cleveland area. This is where it's starting to pick up. As I said, later today, I guess it is later today, it's going to increase. This will move to the northeast, affecting probably Canada a little bit more than us, but I wouldn't be surprised even up to Montpelier to get a thunderstorm today. So you can see there that there's a thunderstorm watch in effect all the way down from Cleveland to Louisville over to Charleston. As that storm moves further to the northeast, I anticipate that region to grow. Currently where I am, why are you doing that? There we go. There's a special weather statement, which probably means we got weather. No, I'm sorry, that's not where I am. Louisville, Frankfort, up in that area, there's a special weather statement. Down where I am, central mid-Tennessee is where most of the storms are. Down in Georgia, looks pretty clear for the moment, but later today, I anticipate them to get a little bit of that rain stuff. All right, Chris, what are the odds? We're going to get a Weather Warn. I love this site. You can go to Weather Warn and check out and get all the updated weather warnings in real time. And you can also see test messages coming out of Maryland. So at 1425 to 1435, they did a test message. Please disregard. Special weather statement in Colorado. Let's see. Doppler radar was tracking strong thunderstorm. That's unusual for them this time of year. And southwest of Pablo, 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts up to 40, pea-size hail. Yesterday, the hail size wasn't as large in some areas, but it was still pretty strong. Puerto Rico, we talked about them. They are unfortunately getting lots of rain. Ohio, severe thunderstorm warnings, and that affects the um, areas of Huron County in north central, Seneca County, Erie County, and Crawford County, and as well as Lorraine County for a severe thunderstorm warning. Tennessee and Kentucky both have special weather statements. It's right on the border there. Doppler radar was tracking a strong thunderstorm near La Follette, which is Tennessee, moving northeast, which means it's going up and into Kentucky. And they said 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, pea-size hail. Radar has indicated that it's lots of gusts. Remember, they are saying that this is going to be more of wind than it's going to be tornadic activity. Don't rule it out, but the wind is going to be worse. Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, severe thunderstorm watch. Special weather statement in Alaska, the White Mountains. Let me guess, snow. What's it going to be? Strong front north of Gulf of Alaska, bringing rain and snow to the interior tomorrow through Saturday, and that is in Fairbanks, Alaska. They get a special weather event for snow. Yes, please disregard the redundant text messages yet again today. I don't know. I need to find out who we can email and ask that, and just everybody just email probably the National Weather Service out of Baltimore. We should all probably just send them an email and go, why do you send test messages all the time? Are you that afraid your system's not going to work? So Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Ohio, severe thunderstorm watch, Puerto Rico, flood advisories, and the small craft advisories. That's along the coastline, where they've also issued a marine weather statement. We know about Texas and Arkansas flood advisories, and Oklahoma, Texas flood warnings. So yeah, it's going to be pretty intense through there. So the activity area, pretty much as we showed, it's staying pretty true. It's already starting to pick up where we were talking about in the northeast. It's actually a little bit earlier than I thought it was going to. So you see the thunderstorm activity currently. Maybe I can see that map. Oh, it's updating. Let's see. Did Annie send out a new test message? Oh, look at that, Chris. Look at that. Brand new test message. 14:35, 2 minutes ago. Please disregard. Somebody please email the weather service that covers Montgomery County, Maryland, and ask them why they continually do tests. I don't understand. I just don't understand. Please disregard this. Okay, so it's not going to show us. There it is. The severe thunderstorm. That's not really up to date, because if we look at the radar up here, most of it's up in northeast Michigan, starting to become Ohio and New York's problem. The wind is going to be the true story today. Hopefully, the tornadic activity will be less. This area is where we were talking about central Tennessee, all the way through central Kentucky, and up along the Ohio Valley region into Pennsylvania, New York. You can anticipate a potential for tornado, but the important thing to know is that it could occur overnight. That's the most important thing. So if you're in those areas and you actually happen to listen to me or like me, have a weather radio, have a working smoke detector, working carbon monoxide smoke detector, as well as a flashlight nearby. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't encourage open source flames, candles, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to have some little floodlights that you can get that are rechargeable. And as we get into the tornadic season, I'm going to start covering some equipment, so we'll see. Someone in Maryland, Chris says, somebody in Maryland, please take the keyboard away from this OCD employee. I love it, Chris. I really would like a press release on why they do that. If anyone is brave enough to email them, please let me know. I encourage it. It is not a bad thing to ask questions of your government services, and the National Weather Service is a government service. Which, by the way, I heard some talk that the National Weather Service might become a part of Space Force, which I found interesting because they said that the new satellites that detect weather by Space Force have a better potential for articulating where storm activity is. So what they were kind of saying but not saying is, hey, our satellites are better than your satellites. So there's some talk about that happening. I don't know if it will happen. Let's refresh this. This is the wind map for the lower 48 as of 1310 110, which is, that's kind of old. And we, as we'll see here in a bit, but that little front is just kind of pushing from the northwest. It's coming over the Rockies, causing that turbulence. And over here, the wind's coming off the Great Lakes. And when I'm pointing to, sorry for the radio listeners, I'm pointing to the northern, northeastern section of the United States, the lower 48. Most of the winds are coming out of Canada from the north, northwest, and off of the lakes, extending all the way down into the Atlantic Ocean. And Columbus is not very windy at the moment, if anybody is curious. Florida, if you've been paying attention, Florida, even though it's been hot, it's had a little dry wedge there. And it's still getting it from that high, pushing all the way across the state. So keep an eye on that, because Florida may be the next to get some serious rain. All right, so the lightning activity, well, for the moment, Oklahoma's getting a break. There's a small cell there in, well, I guess it's right on the state line of Oklahoma. I'm sorry, Colorado and New Mexico. Small cells there. Up into the northwest, there's a, from Billings over to Wilson. Is that Wilson or Wilston? Wilston. You can see there's a small cell there that's producing a little bit of electrical activity. Grand Forks on the northeast side of the city, sorry, southeast side of the city, you can see a little bit of electrical activity. We'll hop over here and see Chicago, down from Bloomington, which is in Indiana, all the way up to Chicago, straight line there to the north northeast is where that cell is, pretty much right over South Chicago at the moment. And that latest little booming area is right over one of the Great Lake there. What is that? Michigan, Lake Michigan. We see how that wraparound storm, the activity now, the strongest and most angry activity, pretty much goes, well, let's just call it Springfield, I think, to be fair, all the way up to Sandusky has that strongest activity, and it goes back to the west, almost to Toledo, and back down from there. Somebody that knows their geography, isn't there in Sandusky a very large park or carnival or something on the lake there? For some reason, it comes to mind. Yeah, it's starting to really pound up here. And let me look at that. That's a pretty intense lightning strike. What you're seeing is where you can hear it. So you see how loud that one was. That was a pretty intense strike. That one come down right at the what is this? The county line between Huron and Ridgefield Township. Yeah, it's man. Some of these are some intense strikes. You see this, and of course we're zoomed in considerably, but you see that it almost is like a bomb. I'm not saying bomb in any type of way to signify anything. I'm just reporting on what this looks like in case anybody has any questions. I'm being watched. I got to be careful. West Virginia, you have a pretty significant cell. What portion is this? This is Oakland. I need a town name. Fort McHenry is where the storm appears to be centrally located at. Is that West Virginia? That's right on the corner of West Virginia. All right. So there you go. That storm is right there over that area, um, all the way stretching down to almost, what is that, Oakland? I didn't know West Virginia had an Oakland. I need my Cheyenne in here to give me my geography lesson on West Virginia. But like today, like I said, later today, this is going to move to the northeast, even Southwest Virginia, maybe extending a little bit into DC, but probably not so much. We look down here, the Tappahannock region of Virginia has got a little bit of a cell going on down there. And as you can see by the lightning strikes here, as comparing them, let me zoom in until we get a more recent one. The size and the intensity of them is much less than the ones to the northeast. Those are the ones that are just banging up there with power. I mean, just those two strikes just occurred on the Great Lake there, and just look at that one. So, yes, I'm just making a comparison, and we're on lightningmaps.org in case anybody is curious. And we're showing at the intensity level and how far out the sound of these strikes go, which would be the thunder. It wouldn't be the sound of lightning. But yeah, what's the rule? You count one Mississippi, two Mississippi. Isn't that the rule? So yeah, if you look at the lightning map, we'll zoom out for everybody so that they can see um, the lower 48 where the most storms are. Southwest, no, southeast, Montana, a little bit of the north. I'm sorry, southwest of South Dakota, some cells there. Pretty much the Detroit region to the east over into Hamilton, Toronto, and is going to move over to Buffalo here in just a little while. In Charleston, West Virginia, you can see West Virginia's under the gun. South Carolina's got a little activity down there, as well as Alabama and Mississippi. But I don't think theirs is quite to the intensity level as that was up to the northeast. It's pretty impressive. Let's zoom out here and see, check on our friends in Puerto Rico where these strikes, those are over the Atlantic. Get my bearings straight here. San Juan, Puerto Rico. We see that most of the lightning strikes are currently off to the southeast, more towards the Virgin Islands. So it doesn't look as well. I take that back. No, this is Port-au-Prince. This is Haiti. It took me a second to remember my geography. Goodness gracious. All right, we'll move on with lightning map. I like to go from there to see. I'm going to refresh this if it comes up. There we go. Texas, you have 10,107 people without power. Missouri, 20,077. Pennsylvania, 215,052. Let's take a look at this and see that from Washington and Beaver, that's a county, up to Centre, Pennsylvania is where most of that is, with it concentrating in Armstrong County and Indiana County. So yeah, make this larger for everybody here so you can see it. That's, and down in Texas where most of it is, you have 369 in Baylor, and in Kinney you have 6. That's interesting. So that can't be right. Okay, it just changed, I guess. Uvalde County, 452. Where was I? Oh, I was okay. These are the blue. I was wondering what was going on. Oh, there's 6 people out. There's 10 people out in Bastrop. Goodness. That's not funny, I guess. But all right, so there you go. I don't like this because they do not show Puerto Rico. I really wish they would show Puerto Rico. They show the Virgin Islands, but they do not show Puerto Rico. And they show Hawaii and, of course, Alaska. I wish Puerto Rico was on that. KG says here in rural Virginia, we're expecting rain today, just today. Now it's 75% chance for the next 5 days. Yep. Next 2 weeks are going to be a little bit weather crazy and lots of rain. Let's look at our air quality and see what we're looking at. Because of most of these storms, the air quality is not as bad where it is not storming. Florida right now, your air quality isn't that great, but you've been in that dry area, and then along the coast of Texas, it's not that great. But you look down to, well, the Chesapeake Bay region south of Washington over to the Backside of the Blue Ridge isn't that great either. Cincinnati, well, pretty much the Ohio Valley down into Louisville isn't that great as well. So yeah, your air quality is not that great. Along the coastline of California, about the same thing. We see that pretty much daily. The air quality over there isn't that great, even with all the electric vehicle stuff they have. Up into Alaska, you're not looking too bad. Down into Puerto Rico, I don't see anything, but we will zoom in on a bigger map here in a moment. And let's hop down to Australia and see if we have anything reported for y'all. And we do not on this map, at least. Let's go to, this is the smoke map. And I want to remind everybody, this comes out from USA Today. This is not a government site. So this comes out from USA Today. So it is not as accurate on the actual wildfires as it is, though, on the smoke. Um, their meteorologists are more concerned of where the smoke is, and they don't update the fires as often as they do the others. They do keep up with them, but they're not as updated as often. Um, so they're probably about 24 to 48 hours behind. So if you don't see a fire that you know is there, or like we go up here into New Jersey and we look and see where I'm at now, it's Boston. New Jersey, they're still reporting that that fire is burning, but it isn't, as far as I know, according to the Forestry Service. They finally got that one under control, but we'll take a look in a minute. So, oh, my favorite map from the Weather Channel. I don't believe it. I think they're liars. Uh, it says in the Tennessee Valley, it's code green. Yeah, I'm not going outside in that till late tonight. Up along the I-81 corridor, all pretty much the entire I-81 corridor from the Tennessee state line up on the Blue Ridge, Blue Ridge Parkway up into Washington, D.C., that whole 81 corridor going up in Pennsylvania, even Gaithersburg, code red. Orange if you're in West Virginia. To the east of that, it's kind of orange in Southwest Virginia into the tip of North Carolina. Midwest, where you're not getting the most significant weather, is where it's code orange. Code red to the southwest of that. So, all right, aches and pains map. Once again, I don't put a lot of faith in this because I don't know how well you can predict it other than just saying your bones hurt. But that is showing us that most of it is in the Northeast, but more of it is in Canada. Could be because they just had a election. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. All right. So this is the international air quality map. And we can see the entire globe. Of course, it's in flattened form here. Not that we believe in flat Earth, but this shows us the wind directions with the pollutants. And it also gives us, for later when the sandstorms really kick up, it'll show us how they interact with our weather, which a lot of people don't understand. Specifically, they were talking about the blue rain in California. Well, if you look, that blue rain is because it's getting winds from the Orient to over on this side of the map, where I can't really show you, are coming into California with their pollens. So they were reporting blue rain and saying the government was spraying them. I don't think that's the case. I think it's the pollen and the algae mix from coming down from up into the Northwest. But if we look, pretty much as we always see, north of the equator is where most of the pollutants are. South America, you're kind of dirty all over. Africa, right through the center of the continent there. Niger, Chad, Sudan, all the way up into Saudi Arabia. The air quality there is horrible with pollutants. That stretches all the way over into Asia. So Australia, you're looking pretty good. A little bit, and that's from the smoke from the wildfires, but it's not too bad. So Australia, you should have a pretty decent air quality day. Let's hop along here because we're about to run out of time. And this is our favorite AI map. If we just had a video of this all the time, I believe I could probably get viewers. If I could get this, if I could come up with a program that would display this all the time with it slowly rotating, like this, I think the globe rotates this way. I think that'd be kind of cool. It just slowly, where you weren't even noticing it. I think that would be kind of cool. We don't see any tightly formed winds really anywhere in the northern hemisphere. We'll drop down here south and see what we got in Australia, because they were concerned about two little ones to the north of them, and I don't see anything tightly formed at all. So, all right, let's get out of that. And why did you just do that? Current fires. I want to skip through this today, if you don't mind, because there's not a whole lot of news there with current fires. Nothing new and major. It's pretty much the ones that have been burning. They're getting a handle on a lot of them. Space, pretty much today, nothing major. The aura is not changed for the next 24 hours from what it's been for the past few days. It's pretty consistent with models we've seen. But I want to get into this new thing I found here. I'm going to update this. So this lists, I think I have the filter set right. Let me make sure. All earthquakes. So this lists all earthquakes up to date, up to the moment. I just refreshed it. So 5 minutes ago, Vancouver Island had a 3.1. I changed the threshold. You can see now we're getting 1.5 showing up in Turkey. I changed the threshold so that we would know, because a lot of even in the south here where I am, get smaller ones that barely make the scale. So I changed it to see if we could get anything. I like this site. This is called Last Quake. You can Google it out and find it and set your settings to see where the last quake was. And I believe, no, it's USGS will send you an alert when they've had some activity within X amount of miles of you. I think it's predetermined, like 25, 50, 100, etc. But I changed this setting, and I like this because you can see even the little quakes, and it's pretty much in real time. So I like that. And then I also found this other map from USGS. It shows the volcanoes. The green are normal, the yellow are advisories, and you can see, the spur. We've talked about that one. And then down here into the Alaskan Islands, or some that I like this on the USGS. So I've pulled this up. We're running out of time here today, so I didn't get a chance to really show you this. And that's pretty much the map of earthquakes and volcanic activity over the past 24 hours. Let's move on here. I'm running out of time because David Beckmeyer is coming up. Let's just skip ahead and see where the cyber threats are, because we know that, as we were talking about, coming online, the threat was for our visas, our PayPal. T-Mobile was having a attack. So you can go to downdetector.com if you think you're having a problem with one of your services and check it out. It's pretty accurate. We can see here on Bitdefender, which is the real-time cyber threat map, that the U.S. is getting peppered from Asia constantly. And it looks like the attacks and infections are pretty much ongoing to the northeast and central United States. So, all right, well, I don't want to keep anybody longer than I have to. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Right Talk Radio, Radio X in Australia. We appreciate your support. We can now get the Paranormal guys to you. We are live on the East Coast, United States, 9 p.m. Eastern till 11 o'clock. And each week we have two guests. Last night, if you want to go check it out, Australian fans, since you may not have gotten the whole show, you can go watch it on YouTube. Paranormal Guys, 3 words, Paranormal Guys, spelled with a Z, and check it out. We had a Yowie hunter researcher from Australia. She was a great guest. Our first guest was an amazing guest, the Granny Appalachian Witch, Pat O'Keefe. She's a great guest, great human being as well. So she is one of those deep Southern United States women. If you go to her house, you're going to get apple pie and sweet tea, and you're going to sit at that table. So great lady. I appreciated her. You can go back and watch that on tape delay on YouTube. Coming up next on Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, Right Talk Radio, and Radio X, David Beckmeyer is coming up. So I want to thank everybody. and have a great day. Yes, Chris, you were right. And I want to, before we go, I want to thank everybody that came over and joined the chat. Thank you. I appreciate your input. You keep me going. Some days more so than you really know. So thank you all for everything. I appreciate it. I love you. Everybody have a great day. I'm going to cut the feed and we are going to get out of here. Thanks again, guys and gals. I will see you tomorrow at 1:00 Eastern time. And I'm just going to take and put that up there because I can. And I will see you soon. Everybody have a great day. Sportcat is out. I need a button for that.